Night of the Living Dead is one of my favorite movies of all time. So when I saw CMON was getting into bed with Night of the Living Dead, boy, was I crazy to watch this flick. And watch it, did I. I am really excited about having this game and being able to play it. And ever since I got Zombicide, Dawn of the Dead and Day of the Dead and Night of the Living Dead, it's a great trilogy. And whenever I'm doing Zombicide, it's always in my head, Night of the Living Dead. No longer do I have to pretend. Now I have a version of Zombicide that is Night of the Living Dead. And boy, am I ecstatic about this. This is fantastic. So what they did in this one, which is very unique from the other ones. How's it different, Owen? How's this different? Isn't it just like every other version of Zombicide? Kind of, but not really. So you start out with the Romero edition of the game, where you're playing through it. The characters aren't very powerful. It's a black and white version. They're trying to hold in until they kick it up into Zombicide mode, where they get better weapons. They're able to fight back a little bit, and they're able to be more powerful until they see a relative. And when a relative enters the board, everybody goes back to the softer side, the Romero side. I can't hurt anybody. Oh, I'm so conflicted inside. Which is really what happened to Barbara and Johnny in the movie, right? And I think it really plays into this. Now, there are some negatives to it. So I think when this game was being sold, most people thought there was a Romero version where you could play through the whole game and you're going to have like this softer side, or you could play in Zombicide. So I think we kind of thought, or at least I did, that there was almost two modes of this game rather than one game, and then you flip back and forth, which is fine. But it was an expectation thing on my side of what I thought I was getting. And I don't know if they deceived me. I'm not claiming that or anything like that. It's just kind of what I thought I went into. And I don't think I'm alone on that. Otherwise, I think the game works pretty good. You're going through scenarios of the movie. The game plays really tight with that. And I feel like you're really going through the movie and playing. I feel like the IP really works in that regard. And I have been very happy with it. I am excited about playing this game more. I painted up everything to be black and white, and the Romeros, and then the Zombicide are in color. I really like that contrast. I think it looks really cool. And there's a lot of expectations for me in this. I just feel like the game is living up to that. CMON's a great company. I love the products that they put out. I know they have some baggage, and your mileage may vary, but I enjoy their product. And this is one I've also enjoyed, and one I highly recommend to you. It's an absolute keeper for me. I won't ever get rid of this game. Night of the Living Dead, we're going to do a little unboxing. You're going to see a scene from the movie here. This is a pretty thick box that you're going to have. And on the back, it'll give you a description of the components, what everything is going to look like, maybe what the game would look like set up, and what you're going to get. So I think they did a fairly good job on this box. Now, this game is self-contained, so if you're not used to the Zombicide series, it usually comes with a lot of stuff. There is an expansion that you can get for it like this, which I've done a separate video on. But pretty much everything you get in here is going to be self-contained. You're going to get a rule book with some characters from the movie. It's in it. Full component list. And you're going to have the rules about halfway through. And then you're going to start having different scenarios that you would have in here. The rule book looks a little large, but the rules aren't that bad. If you ever played Zombicide before, it's not a bad setup here. Then you're going to get a couple of advertisements from CMON. I don't know why they wanted to put two of these in here. And then you're going to get a number of little chits here. Here's what the cars look like, and you can put the little people on them. So this will be the truck. You're going to have some characters. So each one's going to be double-sided for Romero side or for Zombicide. You're going to have Barbara. So all the main characters from the movie will be in here. You're going to have Ben. You can see his colorized version there. You're going to have Harry, who was kind of the bad guy of the movie, if you will, or at least a jerky guy. Although maybe the smartest guy in the movie, right? You have Helen, the mother, who will protect her little daughter at all costs. Judy, the young girl that was there. With her boyfriend or husband, Tom. And he's kind of the muscle, right? He was the muscle of it. There he goes with his Molotov cocktail. Okay. You're going to get a first player token, which will just be a picture of that face. This is just cardboard. Very nice. You're going to get any number of these like barricades that you'll have. Now, these are tokens. And some of the upgrades in their Zombicide, you had plastic. You didn't have this option in this one. And you're going to have any number of these. These right here will be spawn points that will come out. You'll see they're in different colors because you will need different colors as the game progresses. So you just put these on the board, and these will be the spawn points that you'll see. You're going to have color discs. If you don't paint your miniatures up, you'll put these on the bottom of the miniatures. And you're going to have these little plastic tokens for each of the player colors that you'll use in the player boards. Now, as for the dice itself, you're going to get some regular 6-sided dice that will be in the game. And you're going to get 6 of these with the main game. As you know, for most CMON games, the Fantasy Flight is really bad about it. Not enough dice, but just regular 6-sided dice you can pull out there. Now, these will be the player boards that you'll get. They do say Night of the Living Dead. These are plastic and very nice. These started coming with all the Zombicide stuff later on in the games. So this clicks through really fast. These little things right here that you'll have will come out, and they can just stick right in here as you need them, and they work perfectly. So these are great fits. You can put your items and equipment up in here. So as you get things, they just kind of sit up in here. So if you're playing, you can have it just right there, your player board. Very nice stuff right here. Very good. Very little to complain about with these player boards. They are very nice. And as you can see, even though this is a plastic insert, not like a game trays, it fits in there pretty well. Then you're going to get any number of cards. You can see the walkers that come out. There's the famous different walkers that will come. There's some fatties. And you have these new relatives that will come out. This is a new thing that's in this game. So you can have any number of these. These guys will open up barricades and doors and etc. Then you're going to see you have any number of different weapons and things that will come out. You got guns, you got an Uzi, axes and chainsaws and katanas. So, poor baby Karen, mason jars. So any of these things, this will make up your items deck. There's a torch. There's a car that you found. So these will be your deck of cards that you'll be able to utilize as you go through. And they're really small. They kind of fit in your hand, if you will. So this will pull out right here. This will be your miniatures, which we'll take a look at in just a second. And then you're going to get a number of tiles. So you can kind of see this is kind of an old school insert, if you will. So the tiles will have different locations on them. Here is a graveyard that you'll be going through. And you can see, very dark. Now this has the corn in it. This will have line of sight issues. So this right here is not just decorative. It's something that you actually play with. You can see the different stuff here that will make up the countryside, if you're familiar with the movie, but you can see the farmhouse that's in here too that will be made up. More corn. And you will set this up, and these will be the tiles. So you're going to get a few of these with this. And we'll set those aside for now. And then we'll go to the money shot, which will be the miniatures that you'll see here. They keep promoting this free content that you're going to get. You're going to open this up, and you will get a bunch of miniatures. Now, I will pull these out. I will not show you doubles. I'll tell you. You can kind of see that some of these are going to be doubles you're going to have in here. It is important to note that each survivor has a gray version, which is the Romero version. And then they will have a different color version that will be their Zombicide version of it. And you're going to have 2 trays here of zombies. There's going to be one underneath this. And so we'll go through all this, and I'll show you what they look like. So that's the components for Night of the Living Dead. I have to say that they're pretty good. The miniatures look pretty good. I like having 2 of each miniature. The barricades are nice. I do like the plastic upgrades that normally come with these. You do get a little bit of a set of cards. I think the components are fine. These player aids are nice. I would have liked a nicer organization, but what you do get works fairly well. I think everything, these are really nice. I like having these, especially they have the Night of the Living Dead posted on them. CMON on the back. Very nice. I feel like the components overall are very good. People are going to be very happy with them. The miniatures are great. The cards are fine. These are double-sided, so you get a little bit extra if you want the black and white side or the color side. It's a nice upgrade. The dice are okay. I mean, these are just normal dice, 6-sided dice, which is kind of great because you can pull anything you want out of a drawer, and there you have it, but they're nothing special. Overall, I feel like this is a pretty nice package. 2 thumbs up on the components. So here is the rule book. You're going to have a picture of some of the characters in the front. You're going to have a table of contents over here and a picture of all of the components, which each individualized miniature, so you can definitely take a look and see what is available here. A list of all the cards and tokens. That's great. A lot of games don't give that to you. Just overview of what Night of the Living Dead is. I don't know why you would buy this game, maybe if you didn't know what it was, but there's an explanation just the same. Here is setup with a picture and a step-by-step. I found this to be very, very good. You can see the directionals right here of what everything is. It's a quick game overview. This is the game right here. This is all that you're doing in the game. All on one page. Great. Then they kind of go into some of the basics. So here is a tile and how it's break up, the line of sight, the movement, etc. Here are the equipment cards and kind of how they work. How the new material with the Romero mode works. I like that quite a bit. Inventory, how that works, the different ghouls that you're going to come through. And then you jump into what a player phase is and more detail on what the actions are. So I think this works really well. For organization purposes, this is the goals phase. Works really, really well. What to do for running out of some question you might have, running out of miniatures, etc. And then combat. Combat, you're going to have a lot of combat in this game. It has its own section. And how the weapons. Right after that, how things kind of work, which is great. And then some line of sight things with some terrain things that might be on there. If you want to play some additional game modes, it's right here. And then you just break in the last of this is all the different scenarios. I don't want to spoil anything for you. And then skills. I don't know why skills was put here on the back. I would have put that before the scenario stuff. There's an index and then a little bit of an overview at the back of it. I found the rulebook to be very good. Anytime you have these sandbox games where you can do a lot of stuff, move around and things, a lot of different things can happen. It's really hard for a book to do all of that. But I think this one does a very good job. And I'm happy with this rulebook. Of course, you're always going to have a little bit of question here, a little bit of question there, but I think it works just fine. So I'm going to go over some rules in this game. It's not going to be an overview to teach you the game, just kind of give you an idea of what you have. This is going to be your player board here. So you're going to have some weapons that you'll have here for each of your hands. If something's two-handed, you can only have one. You have a little spot for some extra cards that you might have. This will be your tracker of your health. This will be your experience at the bottom. So as this goes up, let's say it goes into yellow, then when you draw over a zombie card, you'll start going into the yellow. So depending on what color you're at in here will dictate which one of these that you'll use when you get more goals that come out. This will track your powers as you go. Now, each of these are going to be double-sided, so you're going to have the black and white side, which will be the Romero side, and this will kind of come out. You flip this over like when there is a relative out or other game purposes, and this will be the Zombicide where you have a lot more powers and you're a little bit stronger than you will, if you can tell that. So those are kind of the versions that you have. So this player board works very well. It'll track your health over here, your XP at the bottom, your powers, etc. That will come up, and as you go through, you kind of push that down, and then you have extra things. Very good tracker. I like this quite a bit. It's made out of plastic. Very good job here. I should also point out that every time, there might be some other objectives, but every time you kill a ghoul, you move this up one. There may be some other objectives. So as you do more damage in the game, this will go up and make the game harder as more of these ghouls will be coming out, etc., as the game progresses. So as you do better in the game, it's going to press up the difficulty a little bit and kind of bring you to a conclusion of the game. There are 10 scenarios included in the game, and each time that you play, you will choose one of these scenarios, and then it will tell you the setup, what tiles to use, what things to put on the board, a little bit of a story, etc. And it will give you the objective and any special rules that might be included in this. Most people that probably have looked at this probably already know that, but just kind of know, and there's different ones you can play, and these are really just scenes out of the movie, if you will. Generally speaking, you're going to have a character that you're already going to choose, and on your turn, it should be noted that there has to be 6 characters of all time. If you're only playing with 3 people, then everybody will have 2 characters.
So you have to have at least 6 characters on the board. And generally speaking, what you're going to be doing is moving around the board. You have 3 actions to take. You can move around the board. You can go through these doors right here. You can't go through walls, but you can always go through doors. And you can search for things. You might find a weapon that you can have. Oh, I searched and I found a crowbar. Now I have this weapon available to me. It may be scenario objectives that you have. If you're in the same location with another character, then you can trade items. So maybe I don't need the crowbar, but you do. I can give this crowbar to you. Or I can reorganize things on my thing here. So let's say I had a crowbar and a clay hammer, and I was able to find an Uzi. So I found this Uzi. It's sitting here. I want this Uzi to be in the game. So I can take an action, get rid of this crowbar, and put the Uzi in. Now I have an Uzi available to me. So that's something that you can do, is reorganize your board here. What you'll be doing a lot is you'll be fighting. So if there's any ghouls that are out, you can shoot people with the Uzi that I showed you. This is a ranged weapon. You could utilize this to shoot. Or if you're in the same location, you could use an item like, say, like a table leg, and you want to try to fight them for melee. And fighting's pretty easy. Just roll the dice and you compare the results of that. So that's not a very difficult thing to do whatsoever. It is notice that as you get up, you will get more abilities. So +1 action, +1 of your die rolls, +1 free ranged, +1 die to combat. So as you get up more, your ability is going to be stronger. But like I said earlier, more of these walkers will come out. The majority of what you're going to be doing is trying to meet the objectives for your goal for that scenario. And a lot of what you're doing is moving around, searching for things, and fighting off these goals until you meet the objective requirements. At that point, let's say something was set like this. The walkers, or the ghouls, could then take one of their actions after all 6 characters have gone. And usually what they'll do is they'll move or attack. So if he was next to them, then he would move over here. If they were already in this location, then they would attack the person. So it's a fairly easy, simple, simplistic game to play. There are a few things like range. If you're outside, you can go all the way across. If you're, let's say you're right here, you can go through this door right here and you could shoot through, etc. But you could, if there was no wall or door there, you couldn't shoot through. So fairly easy. A lot of common sense goes into a game like this. In each scenario you play will have a different win-loss condition as your objective. Let's talk about combat for just a second. So you're going to have a card like this. This will tell you the range. I could shoot somebody in my location or 1 square away. The 3 right here would tell you how many dice you would roll. So in this case, I would roll 3 dice because there's 3 by the dice. I would hit on any 5+, and every hit does a damage. So if I was fighting this ghoul right here, I'm in the same location, so I can shoot. If I had the Uzi, I roll my 3 dice. I hit on every 5. So the 1 is a miss. The 2 6s are hits. That does 2 damage, and that's enough to destroy this ghoul. If that was the case, I would then take my XP up 1 to signify that I eliminated a ghoul from the board. And that's just how easy combat can be. Now, some of these will do different things. So the Winchester 94, I can shoot between 1 and 3 spaces. I only roll 1 die, hit on 3+, and do 1 damage. So they will do different things as you progress through. And that's a quick overview of how you play Night of the Living Dead, the Zombicide. Who should buy this game? Look, fans of Night of the Living Dead, hands down. If you're not a fan of Night of the Living Dead, need not apply. I mean, unless you just want a zombie game. And I think there's a lot to choose from, including Zombicide. You might want to go different, do you like orc zombies like Black Plague, or do you want like Zombicide 2 that's coming out? If you like the Night of the Living Dead universe, this is definitely going to get those characters for you. And you're going to kind of geek out a little bit on it. And I think it's really cool that this game plays as well as it does with the IP attached to it. I'm a huge fan of IP-related games, and this is really going to nail it for me. Absolute keeper for me. This is a great game, and I can recommend to any Night of the Living Dead fan, Zombicide fan, or if you just want a really good zombie game. And you don't want all the CMON stuff. I want I want it self-contained. I don't need a ton of expansion. I want a core box with a little bit of extras, and I want it to be self-contained. This is it, guys. You got what you asked for. You wanted a CMON experience with a zombie game without $1,000 worth of stuff. It's Night of the Living Dead, and you're welcome. It's an absolute keeper for me.